The Boston Stranglers, a book by Susan Kelly that had overturned an entire investigation that illicitly dubbed Albert DeSalvo as the Boston Strangler murderer. DeSalvo, a man who was sentenced for a lifetime in prison for crimes he committed and infamous for crimes that he might have not. In this video, we will find out how Kelly's book, along with DNA analysis, had diminished the entire case of the Boston Strangler serial killer, sending it back to the chaotic realm of mystery. Let's get to it. Albert DeSalvo, born on September 3, 1931 in Chelsea, Massachusetts, led a troubled childhood that later became intertwined with the notorious Boston Strangler case. Growing up in a large family with 6 siblings, Albert faced challenges early on. His parents struggled financially, and the family lived in cramped conditions. DeSalvo's childhood was marked by hardship, and often found himself in trouble at school and with the law. His early brushes with delinquency hinted at the turbulent path ahead. Living in a challenging environment, Albert's upbringing lacked stability, contributing to his later criminal activities. As he entered adolescence, signs of disturbance in DeSalvo's behavior intensified. He engaged in various petty crimes, reflecting a growing pattern of delinquency. These early years set the stage for the troubled adult life that will follow. His criminal record grew, and by the early 1960s, he found himself behind bars. However, it was during the years 1962 to 1964 that Albert DeSalvo's name became eternally linked with terror. A series of strangulation murders terrorized the Boston area, targeting 13 single women. The brutality of these crimes sent shockwaves through the community, creating fear and speculation about a serial killer on the loose, the Boston Strangler. Now let us delve into the arrest and the confession of Albert DeSalvo. In 1964, Albert DeSalvo was arrested, and that marked a significant impact in the investigation into the Boston Strangler case. DeSalvo, a blue-collar worker with a history of criminal activities, was initially apprehended for unrelated crimes. However, during police custody, he astonishingly confessed to being the elusive Boston Strangler, a shocking turn of events. Detailed confessions provided a disturbing account of the series of strangulation murders that had terrorized Boston for 2 years straight. DeSalvo's admissions included specific details about the crimes, leading law enforcement to believe that they had finally captured the notorious serial killer. Despite the gravity of his confessions, Albert DeSalvo was never formally charged or brought to trial for the strangulation murders. Legal complexities surrounding his case raised questions about the validity of his confession, and doubts lingered about whether DeSalvo was indeed the sole perpetrator of the Boston Strangler crimes. The arrest and confession of Albert DeSalvo became a pivotal moment in the investigation, but the ambiguity surrounding his involvement in these murders would continue to fuel debates and investigations for years to come. Now it's time to explore the twist in DeSalvo's story, his life sentence for unrelated crimes. In 1967, Albert DeSalvo found himself sentenced to life in prison, but not for the Boston Strangler murder. It was indeed for a string of unrelated crimes, including rapes and sexual assaults. Although his arrest and confessions had initially pointed towards his involvement in the strangulation murders, the legal proceedings took a different turn. The life sentence stemmed from charges totally unrelated to the original case, solidifying DeSalvo's incarceration for a series of heinous crimes. Despite the lack of formal charges for the strangulation murders, the severity of his convictions for other crimes ensured that he would spend the rest of his life locked up behind bars. This twist in the legal proceedings added complexity to the narrative surrounding Albert DeSalvo. While he avoided a trial specifically for the Boston Strangler murders, his life sentence for unrelated offenses left a lasting impact on his fate within the criminal justice system. The questions surrounding his true involvement in the strangulation case would persist, creating an enduring enigma surrounding one of the most infamous criminal cases in Boston's history. Now moving on to a darker chapter, let us discuss DeSalvo's death in prison. In November 1973, Albert DeSalvo met a violent end within the walls of Walpole State Prison. Stabbed to death, His demise marked a tragic conclusion to a chapter that had gripped the nation. DeSalvo's murder occurred before he even had the chance to divulge potential insights into the infamous Boston Strangler case, leaving many unanswered questions in its wake. DeSalvo's death added an even thicker layer of mystery to an already perplexing saga. Speculation arose about what he might have disclosed had he lived, with some believing he held crucial information that could shed light on the true identity of the Boston Strangler or unveil hidden aspects of the investigation. Unanswered queries surrounding his involvement and the potential secrets he might have shared continue to contribute into the enigma that is the Boston Strangler. It's time now to shift your focus towards doubts raised by Susan Kelly's investigation. In 1995, Susan Kelly's groundbreaking book, The Boston Stranglers, shook the foundation of the case against Albert DeSalvo. Kelly meticulously scrutinized the details, raising profound doubts about his guilt in the Boston Strangler case. Her work highlighted significant inconsistencies in DeSalvo's confession, challenging the narrative that had long branded him as the notorious serial killer. Kelly's investigation suggested that the police, in their haste to close the case, may have inadvertently let other perpetrators escape justice. By exposing these discrepancies, she urged a reconsideration of the evidence and a more thorough exploration of alternate suspects. Kelly's critical examination not only cast doubt on DeSalvo's role in the strangulation murders, but also questioned the integrity of the entire investigation. The publication of Kelly's book was a turning point, prompting reevaluation of the accepted narrative and reopening discussions about the identity of the Boston Strangler. The work became a catalyst for challenging long-held beliefs, encouraging a more nuanced understanding of the complex series of crimes that had terrorized Boston in the early 1960s. Now we will shed light on the unsettling exhumation of Mary Sullivan's remains, a pivotal moment where forensic scrutiny sought to uncover the truth buried beneath years of speculation. In 2001, peculiar events unfolded in the Boston Strangler saga with the exhumation of Mary Sullivan's remains. Mary, believed to be one of the Strangler's victims, had been buried since her tragic death in 1964. The purpose of this exhumation was to conduct DNA testing, a technology that had advanced since the initial investigations. The results of the DNA analysis yielded a revelation that added more complexity to the case. The DNA from Mary Sullivan's remains did not match Albert DeSalvo's. This unexpected outcome ignited a fresh wave of inquiries into DeSalvo's alleged role as the Boston Strangler. The forensic findings presented contradiction to the narrative that had implicated DeSalvo. The absence of DNA match raised substantial doubts about his involvement in Mary Sullivan's murder, and by extension, the broader Boston Strangler crimes. This development renewed discussions, legal challenges, and growing skepticism about the accuracy of the original investigations. The exhumation of Mary Sullivan's remains in 2001 became a critical milestone, ushering in a new phase of scrutiny and prompting re-evaluation of the evidence surrounding the infamous Boston Strangler case. And finally, let's jump into the details of the DNA results that challenged DeSalvo's confession. The disharmony between DeSalvo's confessed involvement and the newly uncovered forensic evidence intensified doubts about his culpability as the Boston Strangler. This discrepancy became a focal point for those skeptical of DeSalvo's role, leading to a further examination of the evidence and a growing consensus that the truth behind the Boston Strangler case might be more intricate than previously believed. The DNA results not only challenged DeSalvo's confession, but also reignited efforts to uncover the actual identity of the elusive and infamous Boston Strangler. In short, the twists and turns surrounding Albert DeSalvo and the Boston Strangler case leave us yet another unsolved mystery in the history of crime. The lack of closure on the true identity of the Boston Strangler underscores the limitation of historical criminal investigations. DeSalvo's life, marked by criminality and infamous confession, remains entwined with uncertainty. This case serves as a reminder of the intricate nature of justice, challenging assumptions and highlighting the need for continual scrutiny in understanding the intricacies of unsolved crimes. We hope you have enjoyed this video. What are your thoughts on this haunting chapter in crime history? Let us know in the comment section. And make sure to subscribe to our channel and don't forget to hit that bell for more interesting videos like this. Thank you for watching. Until next time.